Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've given us quite a bit to work with today. Guides on food labels, healthy eating, weight management, the body key process, and this food exchange system.
That's right, a lot of info.
And our mission really is to wade through all this food information, which can feel, well, overwhelming, and pull out the key things and give you a clear understanding of what really matters for your health.
Exactly. It often feels like you need a science degree just to figure out your groceries, doesn't it?
Totally.
But these sources, they give us a great range from the nitty-gritty of reading a label to the bigger picture of building healthier habits. We're here to make that a bit more straightforward for you.
Okay, great. Let's dive right in then. Food labels, something we all see probably every day. The guide you sent breaks it down nicely, two main parts.
Yeah, basically, you've got the Thong Tin Sun Pham, that's the product-specific info, and then the Chu Thuch, which is like the notes or footnotes section.
Right. So that first part, the product info. What are the absolute must-knows there?
Okay, first off, serving size. And crucially, how many servings are actually in that package?
Yeah. That gets me sometimes. You think you're eating one.
And it's actually 2 or 3, happens all the time, so that's key. Then you'll see calories per serving and also the calories specifically from fat.
Okay, and then it lists the nutrients, but it groups them, right? Things to limit and things to get enough of.
Exactly. Yuihen kakstatendone, limit these. That's your total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, sodium, or salt.
Got it. Limit those.
And then kaktatendone, get enough of these. Think fiber, vitamins, key minerals.
And next to those numbers, there's the percent daily value. That seems important.
Very important. The percent si handung hange, it basically tells you what percentage of the recommended daily amount for that nutrient you're getting in one serving.
Based on a standard diet.
Usually a 2,000-calorie diet, yeah. It's like a quick reference point. How much does this food chip in towards your daily needs for, say, calcium or iron?
Okay, that makes sense. And the other section, the Chu Tiche or notes, what's the gist there?
Well, that gives you the broader context. It often lays out the national dietary recommendations, again, based on that 2,000-calorie diet. So you might say aim for less than 65 grams of total fat, less than 20 grams of saturated fat, and so on.
Ah, like the overall targets for the day.
Precisely. And it defines some terms you might see, like RDA recommended dietary allowance or RNI recommended nutrition intakes for specific populations, like in Vietnam in this source. These are just general guidelines for nutrient needs.
And it helps explain how to use that percent GF.
Yeah, the guide uses a good calcium example. If something has 20% DV for calcium, one serving gives you 20% of what you generally need that day. Makes the percentage much more tangible.
The guide also gives some quick calorie benchmarks per serving, doesn't it? Like low, medium, high.
It does. Around 40 calories is low, 100 is sort of medium, and 400 or more is considered high. Again, just a quick gauge based on that 2,000-calorie level. Helps you see if it's a light snack or something more substantial.
Handy. And there's a simple rule for the daily values, too, the 520 thing.
Yes. The 520 formula, it's super useful. Basically, if a nutrient has 5% DV or less, it's considered low in that nutrient.
Okay.
If it has 20% DV or more, it's considered high.
So that works for all nutrients, fats, vitamins, everything.
Generally, yes. It helps you quickly judge. Is this high in sodium? Is it a good source of fiber? And it helps you balance things out across your whole day.
Right. So thinking about those nutrients to limit, chutney niche doing kanchat fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, salt. The idea is to keep the total daily intake under 100% DV for each.
That's the general aim, yes. But for saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol, the advice is really to keep them as low as possible, period.
And trans fat doesn't even get a percent DV.
Nope, because ideally you want 0. Health experts pretty much agree there's no safe level, so best to avoid it.
Makes sense. On the flip side, the nutrients to get enough of, Chetting and Kanye, fiber, vitamins A and C, calcium, iron. We should aim for more than 100% DV over the day.
Well, aim to reach at least 100% DV for those throughout the day. Many people fall short. And the guide reminds you why calcium for bones, fiber for digestion, and feeling full.
Right, and it mentions soluble fiber and keeping saturated fat low for heart health.
Exactly, connecting the nutrients to actual health benefits.
I liked the milk comparison they used. 2% versus fat-free.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
Shows you can get similar calcium, which is great, but with very different fat levels. It highlights how you can make smart swaps.
Absolutely. It's about understanding those trade-offs. And when you're comparing different products, say two types of yogurt.
Serving sizes might be different.
Exactly. So the guide says it's best to compare them using the per 100 grams column if it's there. That gives you a much fairer comparison.
Good tip. Okay, let's talk specifics on fat content. The guide gives actual numbers to look for.
It does. Generally, under 10 grams of total fat per 100 grams is pretty good.
Okay.
For things like milk or yogurt, you're aiming even lower, under 2 grams per 100. Cheese is a bit higher. Maybe under 15 grams per 100 is reasonable.
And saturated fat.
Less than 3 grams per 100 grams is considered best. And it helpfully lists foods often high in saturated fat, animal fats, butter, chocolate, coconut oil, palm oil, things to be mindful of.
A useful list. What about fiber? Any target numbers?
Yeah, look for foods with more than 3 grams of fiber per 100 grams. Whole grain cereals are a good example they mention. Aim higher for fiber.
And carbs. The main advice seems to be about sugar.
Definitely. Watch out for added sugars. Aim for foods with less than 15 grams of sugar per 100 grams.
And sugar hides under a lot of names.
So many. Dextrose, fructose, glucose, maltose, sucrose, golden syrup, honey, brown sugar. The list goes on. The guide points out even things like dried fruit can pack a sugary punch. Reading the ingredients list is key here.
Awareness is crucial. Okay, finally, salt or sodium. What are the benchmarks?
Low sodium is the goal. Under 400 milligrams per 100 grams is good. Under 200 is even better.
And the bread example showed how much it can vary.
Big time. Even between similar types of bread. And again, look out for other names. Baking powder, MSG, sodium nitrate. They all contribute sodium.
Okay, phew. That's a lot packed into reading a label, but really useful. Now, the guide also touches on organic and GMO foods. What's the takeaway there?
Right. So for organic, it explains there are specific rules producers have to follow. It's not just a random claim.
Rules about?
How much of the ingredients must be organic, what synthetic stuff is allowed or banned, farming methods, processing. It's regulated.
And there are different seals or logos?
Yes. You might see the USDA organic seal from the US. That means 95 to 100% organic with strict limits on synthetics. Or the EU organic leaf logo, which has its own set of European standards.
And the guide mentioned the Vietnamese one?
PGS Vietnam, yeah.
Yep.
Recognized locally for organic standards within Vietnam. So seeing a seal tells you it meets a standard, but knowing which one gives you more detail.
And there are different levels of organic on labels, too.
Uh-huh. For products with multiple ingredients, you might see 100% organic, just organic, which means over 95% made with organic ingredients, which is 70% plus and no sulfites usually, or just some organic ingredients if it's less than 70%. Good to know those distinctions.
Definitely. Okay, shifting to GMOs, genetically modified organisms. The guide defines them as
foods where the genes of the plant or animal have been changed, usually by adding or removing specific genes, sometimes from a different species, to get a desired trait.
like resisting pests or herbicides.
Exactly. Those are the two main types mentioned. Herbicide-resistant crops and ones that produce their own insecticide.
Now, the guide mentions there's ongoing debate about long-term health effects.
It does. It points out there isn't complete scientific consensus on the long-term impact of eating GMOs. It's still being researched and discussed.
So it presents different viewpoints.
Yeah, it mentions concerns. Some scientists have raised potential allergies, toxins, nutritional changes, but it also notes potential benefits like possibly reduced pesticide use in some cases, potential for higher yields, increased food supply, maybe better income for some farmers. And it notes many scientists state current GMOs are safe. It gives you both sides of the coin.
So it's complex.
Very.
But there's a practical tip for spotting potential GMO fruit using those little stickers.
The PLU codes, yes, very handy. Conventionally grown usually starts with a 3 or 4.
Okay.
100% organic starts with a 9.
Right.
And a 5-digit code starting with an 8 often indicates it's a GMO variety. The banana example was 4011 for conventional, 84011 for GMO, something you can actually look for in the store.
Super practical. Okay, let's broaden the lens now. Healthy eating principles for weight management, drawing from that other document, Channelang Magan Sot Kanai.
Right. This one starts with the World Health Organization's definition of a healthy diet.
Which emphasizes
Lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains, fiber, legumes, limiting free sugars, sugary drinks, processed meats, salt, and importantly, swapping saturated and trans fats for healthier unsaturated fats, plus getting enough nutrients and energy overall.
and the benefits go beyond just weight, right?
Oh, yeah. Preventing chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes, boosting your mood, increasing energy levels. It's about overall well-being.
So this guide outlines 3 core principles for a weight control eating plan. Can you walk us through those?
Sure. First is getting Ava Kakshet DNA, sufficient and balanced nutrients.
Okay.
Second is Kim Sotnang Thong Kawa Sudanggu, basically controlling energy or calories using eating units to estimate portions.
Eating units. We'll come back to that. And the third?
Third is 4-5 vent and trong and neone, eating 4 to 5 smaller meals daily instead of maybe 2 or 3 large ones.
Okay, let's unpack that first one. Sufficient and balanced nutrients. It talks about macronutrient ratios.
Yes. It gives the recommended ranges. Carbs should be about 45-65% of your daily calories, fats around 20-35%, and protein about 10-35%.
And it reminds us how much energy each gives.
Yep. Carbs and protein both give about 4 calories per gram, while fat gives 9 calories per gram. So fat is more energy dense. And of course, it stresses getting enough vitamins, minerals, and those phytonutrients too.
So for carbs, the focus is on whole grains.
Definitely. And limiting those free sugars, added sugars ideally to less than 5% of your total energy, but definitely under 10%.
For fats, prioritize the good ones.
Exactly. Unsaturated fats like from olive oil, nuts, avocados. Limit saturated fats to less than 10% of energy and avoid trans fats completely. Fats are still essential, just choose wisely.
And protein. What are the key sources recommended?
Lean meats, poultry, fish aiming for at least 3 servings a week, shrimp, crab, and also plant-based sources like beans and lentils, so legumes. Protein's vital for building muscle, immunity, growth.
Right. And for vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, it's all about fruits and veggies.
Pretty much. Aim for at least 400 grams a day, and crucially, eat a variety of colors. Different colors often mean different nutrients and benefits.
Good reminder. And salt.
Keep it under 5 grams a day, about 1 teaspoon. Preferably use iodized salt. And it gives tips like tasting food before adding salt, using herbs and spices instead.
And all this comes together in that healthy plate visual.
The Dial on Man Bodua, yeah, it's a great visual reminder. Half your plate veggies, a quarter lean protein, a quarter whole grains. Simple but effective.
Okay, now principle number 2. Kim Sat Nang Lung. Using unvanane energy control with eating units. How does that work?
It's a portion control system, basically. The guide defines a standard eating unit for different food groups: grains, fruits, veggies, lean meats, milk, nuts, even oils and protein powder.
So 1 unit of, say, grains equals a certain amount of calories and carbs.
Exactly. Like 1 unit might be half a bowl of rice or 1 slice of bread. 1 unit of fruit might be half an apple or a small banana. It gives specific examples for each category, along with the approximate calories, carbs, protein, and fat in that unit.
That sounds really practical for planning meals without weighing everything.
It is. It allows for flexibility. You know you need, say, 3 grain units for lunch, and you can choose rice or pasta or potatoes in the right amounts.
And the guide provides a sample meal plan using these units.
Yes, a 2,000-calorie example showing how you might distribute units across breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks with actual food examples really helps you see it in action.
Is there another estimation method mentioned? Something about using your hand?
Ah, yes. The Ngien Tapante, the hand principle. It's a quick visual guide. Fat portion about the size of your thumb, carbs or fruit about a fist size, veggies, 2 cupped palms, protein about the palm of your hand.
Oh, that's super handy for when you're eating out or don't have measuring tools.
Exactly. A good rough guide.
Okay, and the third principle, eating 4 to 5 smaller meals a day. Ano, 4-5 Valena, and hay. Why is that recommended?
The idea is it can help manage hunger better, keep you feeling satisfied longer between meals, and potentially help stabilize blood sugar and metabolism. Avoid getting overly hungry, which can lead to overeating.
So, eat before you're starving, stop before you're stuffed.
That's the general idea. More consistent energy intake. The guide even suggests a possible eating schedule.
And to wrap up this section, it gives some overall tips for success.
Yes, practical things like cook at home more often so you control ingredients, make gradual dietary changes, read those labels, eat mindfully, chew well, drink enough water, and plan your meals ahead.
All good, actionable advice. Okay, so now let's connect all this to the body key consultation process and that food exchange system document. How do these fit in?
Well, the body key consultation process seems like a structured way a consultant would work with someone using these principles. It starts with understanding why someone wants to manage their weight, the Kichvat Nuko or stimulating demand phase.
Really digging into motivation and health concerns first.
Exactly, using open-ended questions, active listening. Then it moves into actually measuring things. Kano, kakchen, sakutu, BMI, body fat percentage, waist circumference, etc.
And setting goals based on those measurements.
Right. Setting realistic weight, fat, and muscle targets, together with the client, the Zeki and MIGTU part.
And then they introduce the body key solution itself.
Yeah, the Jutsu and Nebi Luum phase, sharing success stories, explaining the program elements like the eating guide, exercise support, community, the products themselves.
And the process continues with things like closing the sale, detailed consultations on diet and exercise, tracking progress, and even handling objections.
Yes, it's a comprehensive process outlined there, covering the whole client journey, including ongoing support and troubleshooting.
Okay, and the final document, the Hutsun Kudo Thafim, the food exchange system. How does this differ from the eating units we already discussed?
It's very similar in principle, maybe just framed slightly differently or with more detail. It's about grouping foods with similar nutritional profiles, primarily carbs, primarily protein, primarily fat.
So you can swap foods within a group easily.
Exactly. It defines a tunmai or exchange unit, again, with typical carb, protein, fat, and calorie counts. For instance, one starch exchange might be around 90 calories, mostly carbs. One lean meat exchange, about 50 calories, mostly protein.
And the rule is swap within the same group, not between groups.
Generally, yes. That
Yeah.
maintains the nutritional balance of your meal plan.
This document also seems to cover designing a diet plan, energy balance, estimating needs.
It does. It reiterates the calories in versus calories out idea for weight management, giving specific calorie deficit or surplus targets for losing or gaining weight gradually.
And quick ways to estimate your energy needs.
Yeah, using activity level multipliers or simple formulas based on weight or general ranges based on nutritional status. It also provides ideal weight calculations using BMI.
It seems to reinforce the macronutrient balance recommendations too.
It does, giving similar percentage ranges for carbs, fats, and protein, both for general health and specifically for weight control, including protein targets per kilogram of body weight.
And it reviews the food group recommendations and meal frequency advice again.
Yes, it pulls a lot of the core healthy eating principles together and shows how to apply them using the exchange system to build a personalized meal plan. It also mentions the Nudi app as a tool for checking specific food portion nutrients.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground, from the tiny print on a label to full meal planning systems.
We certainly have.
So if we boil it down, the key things for you, the listener, are really getting familiar with reading food labels is fundamental.
Absolutely. Demystifying that is step one.
Then, being aware of what organic and GMO labels mean helps you make choices aligned with your preferences.
Right. Understanding the labels empowers you.
Understanding the core principles of a healthy, balanced diet, the macronutrients, the importance of fruits and veggies, limiting salt and sugar that provides the foundation.
Couldn't agree more.
And finally, tools like the eating units or the food exchange system and even the hand portion guide offer practical ways to put those principles into action and manage your intake effectively.
They really bridge the gap between knowing what to do and knowing how to do it day to day.
We really aim to give you a shortcut through all this info, make you feel more informed, more empowered.
And hopefully you feel you've got some practical knowledge you can use starting today.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Next time you're in your kitchen or at the store, take a closer look at a couple of food labels with fresh eyes. See what you notice now.
Yeah, or think about how using something like the exchange system or the hand guide might make planning your next meal feel a bit less daunting.
And if weight management or detailed tracking is something you're focused on, perhaps those body key or Nudi app resources mentioned are worth exploring further.
Ultimately, it's about using this knowledge to make food choices that feel confident and contribute positively to your health and how you feel.